He has in all 18 years of experience. He has 18 years of experience. He has participated in various seminars, conferences, both national, international, even international symposiums. He has been participated in workshops of UGC funds, national level workshops, as well as international workshops. Sir has been a published various books and articles, and he has also been an editor in various international and national journals. He has published on in peer-reviewed annual peer-reviewed international journals too. Sir has, apart from this, he has also acted as an uh, examiner in paper valuation as well as paper setting, question paper setting since 2008, and he has been a paper setter in commerce since 2009. He has also attended various orientation programs, short-term courses, faculty development programs, and refresher courses in various universities, as well as he has been his area of specialization is accountancy, marketing, human resource management, entrepreneurship, banking, research, statistics, and business studies. He has acted as a research guidance and viva voce examiner for MBA, MPhil, as well as PhD courses. Sir has been an editorial board member for national and international journal. He has been the chief editor from 2017 till date. He has also acted as a resource person for international FTP, as well as he has conducted personal contact programs for BBA and MBA and MCOM students in University of Madras. He has also created articles and materials for University of Madras students. He has handled online tests and from in the year 2020 in MBS Ambani College. He is also board of studies. He has also attended board of studies meeting. Sir has been the co-investigator in major research funded programs. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam. I would like to express my gratitude to the management of Patterson Arts and Science College, Chennai. Here, I am very grateful to the patrons of Patterson Arts and Science College for taking initiatives in organizing this 7 days online national level professional development program on effective quality research writing phase 5. Besides this, I also congratulate the conveners, Madam Sweetie Regina Mary Madam, Daniel Katsi Sir, and organizing secretaries. Without their efforts, this program would not have would not have seen the light of the day. Okay, now I'm going to deliver my lecture on how to construct the questionnaire. Though the topic of discussion is research methods, we are going to discuss important element of research methods that comes to be called as how to construct the research. How to construct the question. Okay, now let us commence our presentation with the introduction of the questionnaire. As we know, questionnaire is a tool through which we gather the important information about the research topic. Okay, here the topic of discussion is how we have to make the questions. I mean, here there is a method of making the questions. We have to follow the guideline as to how to formulate the questions so that the questions will have the quality and it will impress the people, those who are reading the thesis. Okay, now, yeah, we will see the introduction of the questionnaire. The questionnaire is a structured set of questions designed to gather specific information. These questions can vary widely from multiple choice queries to open-ended inquiries. Okay. Now, we can make the questions according to our convenience. But the thing is that before going to construct the questionnaire, we want to have a consultation with the research supervisor. That is when the discussion will become successful. But at the same time, we have to go by the overall research objectives. Based on that, we have to formulate the questions. There are many types of questions. As I said before, here a question is accompanied by two options. A question may be accompanied by three options. As such, a question may be accompanied by many number of options. But the thing is that we want to correlate our questions with that of the overall or the entire objectives of our research. Okay, here that's why you are asked to go through the review of literature before the formulation of the questionnaire. Okay, that is very important so that the questions we can make the questions with the superior quality. Similarly, we can impress the people, those who are reading the research report. Here, the questions will convey the messages along with the options. The people, those who are looking at the questions, will choose the suitable options and then they will put a tick mark. Based on that, we will manipulate the data analysis. Okay, that is very important. See, the questionnaire is like a targeted conversation on paper, online, or in digital format. It consists of a set of well thought out questions designed to gather specific information from the people. Okay, now our target audience is whom we are going to meet our target audience is who we are going to meet. We would like to meet some people through whom we want to elicit the responses for which we need the questions. We want to list out the questions before going to meet the target audience. While constructing the questions, you have to get the approval from the research supervisor or research guide. The research guide will carry out the necessary corrections in the questions. Based on that, you can make the questions either online or offline or sometimes in digital forms also. Okay, here you have to keep in mind what type of questions you have to accommodate in the format and to whom it has to be shared. That is very important. These questions can cover a wide range of topics, helping researchers, business, educators understand opinions, preferences, behaviors, or facts. See this? Here, the important aim of formulating the questions is to elicit the opinions. Sometimes some of the questions will throw light on the opinions. On the other hand, some others will throw light on the preferences. Similarly, some other questions will focus on the behaviors or facts. Anyway, our intention is to collect the information from the target audience or target people, but you have to gear up the questions along with the mixture of all these options, because some of the questions will have the option of opinions. Similarly, Some others will have the options of preferences. As such, we will have n number of questions. All these questions will culminate in such and such options. Now, here you can look at the images of the questions. These are the statement type questions. These questions are formulated keeping in view the objectives of the research. See this? Here, these questions are measured in terms of 5-point Likert scale. These questions are measured in terms of 5-point Likert scale. Okay, here they are all measurable. They are all measurable. These questions are measured with the help of the Likert scale. In the same way, it doesn't mean that all the questions have to be measured in terms of 5-point Likert scale. Some questions may be measured in terms of 2-point Likert scale, while others may be measured in terms of 3-point Likert scale. As such, there are questions having 7.5 7-point Likert scale, but anyway we can have numerous statements. All of them can be measured with the help of different Likert scales. See, you can look at the image of the questions. Here statements are given. Each of these statements will have to be measured with the help of 5-point Likert scale. 5-point Likert scale. Here, the first option is strongly agree. As such, the second one goes to agree. The third option comes to be called as not certain. Similarly, the next one comes to be known as disagree. The last options has strongly disagree option. Okay, anyway, all these options are measured, and we will put them into data analysis. Okay, now we will discuss the characteristics of good questionnaire. Okay, what is good questionnaire? Actually, if you want to make your questions to be effective, we want to contain certain characteristics. Make sure your questions contain these characteristics so that your questionnaire will become successful, but at the same time it will serve the purpose of the research. First one, clarity. See, there should be clarity in the question while constructing the questionnaire or questions. You need to bear this in mind. What is that? Because you are going to circulate the question to the normal people. I mean, some people might have studied well, some people are illiterate, some people are literate, but anyway, while making or formulating the questions, you have to make the statement as simple as possible. You have to make the statement of questions as simple as possible. You have to avoid the technical terms called jargons or ambiguity, because this will create confusion in the minds of the people, those who are filling up the options of questions. Therefore, all you need to do is to keep the question so simple and understandable to the people, those who are going through it. That is when you will be able to collect the responses from almost all the you can collect the responses from almost all the people. That is very important. What is that? You have to ensure whether all the questions contain the element of the clarity. The next, relevance. See, relevance, what is that? As I told you a little while ago, we have to see to that our question is compared with that of the entire objectives of the research. What is that? We have to see to that our question is compared with that of the entire objectives of the research, because you can make a lot of questions, but that doesn't matter. But you have to compare all the questions with the entire, all the research objectives. So each question is correlated with that of all the objectives of the research. That is when the purpose of the research will get served. Otherwise, it will go to waste. Therefore, you have to see to that whether the question is suitable to the topic of the research. The question is suitable to the topic of the research. Okay, you might have made the topic in consultation with your research supervisor, but is it relevant? Okay, yes, of course it is relevant. Now you have come out with the objectives. Okay, soon after you have come out with the objectives, you have to start constructing the questionnaire. After that, you have to compare all the questions with the objectives that you have listed out in your research. Okay, the same way you have to remove or eliminate the questions that are not relevant to the topic of the research. Okay, otherwise this will never ever serve the purpose of the research. The same way, it will reduce the quality of the research also. The people will feel irritated while as and when they read your research report. Therefore, make sure you accommodate all the questions relevant to the topic of the research and the objectives of the research. Then next, simplicity. See, as I told you before, better you have to use the simple languages. The same way, you have to avoid the complicated questions. Otherwise, this may lead to misinterpretation. Okay, so better you have to use the language as simple as possible. Okay, because all the people come from different walks of life. Some people might have studied well. Some people will be able to understand the question in no time. In the same way, some people will take time to fill up the responses that is there. Therefore, you have to avoid the jargons or technical terms, and you have to always or invariably use the simple language for the convenience of the people going through or reading the questions. Then objectivity. See, objectivity, that is very important. What is objectivity? Here, question should be neutral and unbiased, avoiding leading or suggesting language that might influence respondents' answers. See this. If I want to fill up the response, if I want to fill up the answer to the question, see, it should be justified. So I should avoid unnecessary questions, or I need to eliminate the redundancy in the questions. I need to eliminate the redundancy in the questions. That is very important. The same way, I have to go by the words of the experts in the field of the research, because many people have highlighted various questionnaire. All the questions, we have to go through all the questions. Based on that, we have to construct the questionnaire, because it is a yardstick. Questionnaire is like a yardstick. We have to go by the yardstick and measure the responses with the help of such a yardstick. In doing so, you have to remove the irrelevancy, or if the question is not suitable to the topic, then you have to eliminate it. Okay, in the same way, while you place the question in your questionnaire on the format of the question, you have to see to that whether it is to be justified or not. If it is not able to be justified, then you have to remove the question. That's why it is done during the time of the pilot study. What is the purpose of conducting the pilot study? The purpose of conducting the pilot study is to eliminate or add the questions, eliminate the unnecessary questions or add the necessary questions. This is the purpose of conducting the pre-testing or pilot study. So here, before going to finalize the questions or questionnaire, we conduct the pilot study. In pilot study, we will come to know whether how is the question, whether it is up to the mark or it is not up to the mark. If it is not up to the expected quality, then we can eliminate the unnecessary questions as and when possible, wherever required. Okay, but anyway, we have to, all the questions are subject to be revised or modified based on the motion of the research and the result of the pilot study. The next, consistency. See, even it comes to be repeated. The information thus collected from the people have to be useful to the society at large. Therefore, while you prepare the questions, you have to uh, brief the statement of questions because it should not be too lengthy. The question should not be too lengthy. It should be too short to be understandable. It should be too short to be understandable. It should be, I mean, what I'm coming to say is that it will have to serve the purpose of the research, but at the same time, you need to cut short the sentences and it should cover the meaning of the question. That is very important. See this next, specificity. What is specificity? Question should focus on one topic at a time. Try not to combine multiple ideas into a single question. See this, even some people are doing the research. I don't want to actually, on the condition of the anonymity, I would like to share some of my views with my teacher participants. See, people are selecting the topic. The topic is very broader in a sense. See, here we have to narrow down our research topic. We have to narrow down our research topic. See, in the same way, it should be too specific to be elaborated to the people, those who are interested in the specific field of research. So here, before going to construct the question, make sure your topic is very specific. If your topic is not specific, definitely this will affect the construction of the questionnaire. Therefore, you can have n number of questions, that doesn't matter, but at the same time, you have to see to that whether the question is narrowed down. The question is narrowed down. The question is specified. That is when the purpose of the research will get fructified. Then structured responses. See this here. Structured responses. What is that? Offer clear response options, whether multiple choice, Likert scale, open-ended. Structured responses aid in easy analysis. See this here. Structured responses means there are the question that may have many options. All of them have to be properly structured. See, a question will have to be accompanied by 2 options, 3 options, or 4 options. That is when we can effectively manipulate the data analysis. See this, we are going to codify the data. We are going to enter the data. We are going to see process the data, So for this purpose, we have to properly structure the responses. All the questions, there are many questions. Each one of these questions has to be accompanied by numerous options or a number of options. Let us say open-ended questions. Yes, a question, it is an example of open-ended question. A question that will have 2 options, yes or no. Likewise, if it is 5-point Likert scale, then strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree. Likewise, there are some questions which may be accompanied by 3 options. Very good, good, bad. Similarly, all the questions have to be properly in accordance with the entire objectives of the research. See this pilot testing. As I told you a little while ago, what is that? Pilot testing. That is also very important. What is pilot testing? See, excuse me. See, pilot testing is a test which is conducted earlier to the main research is conducted. See, the purpose of conducting the pilot test is to reduce the redundancy in the questionnaire. So here we have to eliminate the unnecessary questions from the questionnaire. We have to accommodate the useful questions in the questionnaire. Okay. So during the time of the pilot study, most of the people, some people are doing the research. They do not understand the head and tail of doing the research. They even they do not correct the questions at the stage of the pilot study. They do not know what is the purpose of using the pilot study. They conduct the pilot study, but they fail to carry out the corrections in the questions. So that will result in reducing the quality of the research. That reduces the quality of the research, or this will prove the ineffectiveness in the research work. Therefore, you have to go by the pilot study and carry out necessary corrections based on the validity of the pilot study. Based on the validity of the questions that will be made known only during the time of the pilot study. See, consideration of respondent perspective. See, here, put yourself in the respondent shoes and frame questions from their point of view. Questions should be relevant and relatable to the participants, encouraging honest responses. See this, we can make the questions to our understanding, but what really matters is that you have to make the questions based on the perception of the respondents, because we focus on some people. We have to collect the responses from such some people, make the questions from the point of view of the respondents. Okay, that is when they will give honest responses in the questions. The next is adaptability. The question should be adaptable to online, paper, interviews, and audiences. Diverse forms and audiences. Flexibility ensures broader participation and diverse insights. See this, what I'm coming to say is that the questionnaire you make should be flexible to any format. Okay. Here it should not be rigid. It should be too flexible to be suitable to any format of the both any format, both online or offline. Here, some people send the questionnaire via online platforms. Some people send circulate the questions in physical mode. Whatever the case may be it, but while circulating the questions, see to that whether it is offline or online. Okay. If it is online, then some people will choose the responses and send it back to the researcher. But at the same time, during the time of physical mode of data collection, you have to circulate the questions to the target audience, but you have to wait along with the researcher and collect the responses from them. Once the filling up process of responses is gets over, you have to get back the questionnaire from the target audience. The next topic of discussion is very important. What is that? Type of questionnaire. See, there are different types of questionnaire: structured questionnaire, unstructured questionnaire. Then here in the subsequent presentation also, I would like to point out other types of questionnaire. Here at the outset of this topic, I am going to demonstrate about the structured questionnaire. These questions have fixed predefined questions with specific response options. They are ideal for quantitative research, providing standardized data for easy analysis. See this, even our research work and all is based on the structured questionnaire. What is the structured questionnaire? Actually, we'll have, for this question, we want to have this option. For this question, we want to have this option. Likewise, we will have numerous options for different types of questions. We will have many options for different types of questions. But anyway, it is predetermined. What is that? It is prefixed or predetermined. And before going to circulate the question, we will discuss the method of questions along with the research supervisor. The research, once the approval of the research supervisor is given, then we will go ahead with the distribution of the questionnaire to the target audience. Okay, but here it is in quantitative, it is useful for quantitative research. What is quantitative research? Quantitative research means we can take this into our consideration for data analysis. Okay, this is called structured questionnaire. Okay, so structured questionnaire means we will have some options for some set of questions. We will have some options for some set of questions. Next, unstructured questionnaire. Open-ended questions in unstructured questionnaire allow respondent to express their thoughts freely, providing detailed qualitative insights. Feedback forms with sections for comments and suggestions. See this here. Sometimes this type of question will have two options, or based on the movement of the data collections, we will fill up the options. Some people will say the option along with the questions. Even we will not have prefixed it. We will not have prefixed it. Actually, at the time of collecting the data, the target audience will give the response along with the questions. For these questions, we will not mention the responses or the options. The people, those who are filling up the options, will give the options according to their convenience. That is to say unstructured questionnaire. The next, furthermore, semi-structured question. These questions balance structured and unstructured formats with both closed-ended and open-ended questions that provide quantitative and qualitative data. See this? Here, there are two options, quantitative data and qualitative data. With if I want to collect, well, this quantitative data means it is all about the primary data. Qualitative data means it is all about the secondary data. For both of which, we have to construct the questionnaire and we have to circulate the questions. They are all useful for both type of researches, qualitative research and quantitative research. So some of the questions will have predetermined, some of the questions are predetermined and some other questions are not predetermined. The options will be left by the respondents. The options will be left by the respondents, or they are provided. The options will be suitable option will be provided by the respondent. It doesn't mean that consultation is mandatory for the people, those who are filling up the option. He will give any option, whatever strike at his mindset. The next, here employees feedback survey with a mix of multiple choice questions and comment boxes. In comment boxes, the employee will give the comment on their own. The same way in questions, multiple choice questions, they will select any one of the options according to the motion of the research. Then dictomas questionnaire. They present questions with only two research response options, typically yes or no. They are straightforward and yield easy to analyze data. Health assessment forms asking whether a symptom is present or not. See here, it is mostly used in the medical examination. This type of question is mostly used in the medical examination. Okay, even it is also measurable. But it is also measurable. We can process the data analysis by taking into account the responses elicited through this type of questions. Then, other than this, there are multiple choice questions. Participants choose from a list of predefined options. They are versatile and suitable for various topics, allowing respondent to select the most relevant answer. See this here. Some questions, as I told you before, there are certain multiple choice questions. You need to select any one of the respondents or combination of two or mixture of three or mixture of four. Likewise, there will be one option that will contain the element of all the above. But anyway, there are some questions that will contain many number of options or mixture of two options or mixture of three options. They are all mostly used in the marketing research. Okay, because in marketing research, people may have to give either one single response or combination of any two responses or more number of responses. But anyway, it is left to the discretion of the respondent. Let them choose the responses based upon their convenience. Then Likert scale questionnaire. Okay, Likert scale questionnaire are used to measure the attitude and opinion through a series of statements where respondent indicate their level of agreement or disagreement on a scale. See, employee engagement survey assessing satisfaction level on a scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. See this Likert scale questionnaire. Here in Likert scale questionnaire, the thing is that we are going to measure the attitude or opinion. Okay, there are many questions, there are many statements, all of them culminate in measuring the attitude or opinion of the respondents. What is that? All of them are used to measure the opinion or attitude of the respondents. Here, there is an example: employee engagement survey assessing satisfaction level on a scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Even in the very first slide also, I showed the format of the questions. That is the case of the Likert scale. That is the case of the Likert scale questionnaire. See this in the first slide itself, I highlighted the question that is an example of, or that is the case example of the Likert scale questionnaire. Here, all the Likert scale questionnaire are used to measure the attitude or opinion of the respondent. See next, objectives of the questionnaire. What is the next one? Objective of the questionnaire. See, it is useful to gather the specific information. It is useful to gather the specific information. See this here, as I told you before, while you gear up the questions, see to that whether it is in broader sense or narrower sense, because you have to avoid the questions that is difficult to be understood. That is that you have to avoid the questions that is too difficult to be understood. You have to accommodate or include the question whether if it is too specific. If it is not too specific, then you have to do away with the questions and keep the questions included in the questionnaire format after ensuring whether it is specific or not. Then understanding perspective. Questionnaire are useful for understanding individual and group perspective, opinion, attitude, belief, and behavior. Responses provide insight into specific issues and topics. See this here. Questions are used for variety of purposes. What is that? Questions are used for variety of purposes. Sometimes it is used to measure the attitude. Sometimes it is used to measure the opinion. Sometimes it is used to measure the belief or behavior and whatnot. Therefore, responses provide insight into specific issues and topics. Okay, so the unsolvable problem is effectively solved with the help of the questionnaire. We calculate the questionnaire, we get to know what type of answer does a respondent have in his or her mind, and based on that, we will correct the mistakes from the existing system, or we will do something for the improvement of the existing system, so that the existing system will become more effective than ever before. The next, measuring satisfaction and feedback. Business and service provider often use questionnaire to measure customer satisfaction level and gather feedback. These surveys help identify areas of improvement, ensuring better products or services. Customer satisfaction survey in the hospitality industry evaluate room cleanliness, staff conduct, and overall guest experience. See this, measuring satisfaction and feedback. Sometimes the purpose of accommodating or putting into putting to place the question is to measure the satisfaction level of the customers. Okay, what is the satisfaction level? There are different topics, some of which are used to measure the level of satisfaction of the customers. Okay, here customer satisfaction on boost, customer satisfaction on electronic items, customer satisfaction on LED TV. So to measure the customer satisfaction, we can keep numerous questions. Based on that, we can measure the responses or opinion of the people. Okay, the next, identifying patterns and trends. By analyzing patterns across a sample, commonalities or deviation can be observed. For example, survey analyze shopping pattern among different age group and identify trends in online versus in store purchases. See this, sometimes we cannot send the offline questions. We cannot send the physical mode of questions to anyone. It is online question only is possible to be sent. We cannot use the offline mode of offline question. We can make use of only the online question. Similarly, there are places where we are able to use only the offline questions. But anyway, depending on the circumstances, we have to see select whether offline question is suitable or online question is suitable. If the online question is suitable, then you can go ahead with the online question. Otherwise, you can go ahead with the offline question. Evaluating customer loyalty. Customers can build or break an enterprise credibility by sending out questionnaire. You can understand their preferences and needs and act accordingly. Loyalty survey are sent to long-term customers, measuring their likelihood to recommend the brand to others and reason for their loyalty. See this? Sometimes customer loyalty also is measured. Customer loyalty also is measured, or it is evaluated. We send the questions to numerous people. The purpose of sending the questions to numerous people is to evaluate the loyalty of the customers. Based on that, we will prepare the database, and we will come to know whether who are all the loyal customers and who are all the new customers, and we will take initiatives in converting the new customers to be a loyal customer. Now, this is very important. What is that? Everyone needs to keep this in mind. All the people, those who are pursuing their research, or the people, those who are going to be the proposed researcher, have to follow the steps at the time of the questions development or the questionnaire development. See this first one. Decide what information is required. Decide what information is required. See this? Here you have to see to that what information is required. Okay, so you before going to construct the questionnaire, you have to ask yourself whether what are all the informations required for my research. You have to ask yourself whether what are all the informations required for my research. That is very important. Before going to construct the question, as I told you a little while ago, you have to decide what information is required. Then make a rough listing of the questions. Okay, don't finalize. Don't come to the finalization phase. You have to make the set of questions. They are you have to rough draft. You have to rough draft the questions. You don't get them finalized because before going to finalize the questions, necessary corrections may be carried out by the researcher along with the consultation of the research supervisor. Therefore, before going to finalize the questions, you have to make a rough listing of questions. Then refine the question phrasing. What is that? Refine the questions phrasing. Phrasing. See this? See, refine means purify. Purify the questions in such a way that all the questions are matching with that of the circumstances. What is that? All the questions you have to purify, or you have to carry out the corrections or modifications wherever required in such a way that it is matchable with that of all the circumstances. Then develop the response format. Develop the response format. See this? Here responses also are required, and they are to be accommodated along with the questions. Therefore, you have to keep the responses. You have to keep the responses along with the questions, because the questions without the responses will is of no meaning. What is that? The questions without the responses is of no meaning. Therefore, at the time of constructing the questionnaire, you have to develop the responses also. Then put the questionnaire into the appropriate sequences. See this? What is sequence? It should be numbered sequentially. What is that? You have to accommodate the questions in such a way that no overlapping arises in the format of the questions. Therefore, here you have to keep the questionnaire properly and in a logical manner. What is that? You have to keep the questionnaire, or you have to put the questionnaire properly, appropriately, and in a logical manner. The next, finalize the layout of the questionnaire. What is that? Finalize. That's why you are asked to go to the research supervisor, because research supervisor will have the broad knowledge, because he would have come he will have a lot of experience and expertise. He knows where what type of layout can be had on the format of the questionnaire. You have to go by as per the advice of the research supervisor. You have to go as per the advice of the research supervisor, so that you can get your questionnaire finalized. The next, pre-test and revise. Just now, I mean, again and again, what I am in a position to demonstrate about the pre-testing and revise. The purpose of pre-testing is to carry out necessary corrections in the questionnaire. The purpose of the pre-testing is to carry out necessary questionnaire, carry out necessary corrections in the questionnaire. Okay, and then get them revised. Don't come to a conclusion without conducting the pre-testing. Okay, if you want to come to a conclusion, then you have to conduct the pre-test and then revise the questions based upon the taste and preferences of the researcher and the target audience. But at the same time, never compromise on the topic of the research and the objective of the research, because both of which will form a part of the the topic of the research and the objectives of the research. Your questions should be correlated with they both. That is when the purpose of the research will get fructified. Now, so long we kept on discussing the questionnaire. Still, we are having some what to say, ambiguity in the topic of the interview schedule. What is interview schedule? Sometimes what some people keep on calling the questionnaire keep on calling the questionnaire sorry, interview schedule instead of questionnaire, but they do not know where to use the questionnaire and where to use the interview schedule, because there is a situation where we have to strictly use the interview schedule. Likewise, there is a situation when we have to use the questionnaire. Okay, both of which have to be in both of which should be differently used at different places. Okay, we can use the questionnaire and we can use the interview schedule, but the purpose of using the interview schedule is different as compared to the purpose of using the questionnaire, because both of which do not have the same scenario at the time of data collection. See this, the interview schedule is designed to organize a series of questions for the interviewer. The purpose is to assess the candidate's skill, commitment, and interest in the job. The goal is to ensure that both the interviewer and the candidate feel comfortable with each other and have respect. Interview is a face-to-face or one-to-one situation in which the interviewer gather information about the behavior, problems, and future plan of the pupil. It is also designed to assist the pupil to understand himself and his environment so as to be able to solve his problem or modify his plans. There are various types of interviewing depending upon their purpose and design. See this here. Interview schedule is used to assess the candidate skill, commitment, interest in the job. I tell you one example. Now, I am placed in a manager position. I attended the interview. I got selected for a specific position. Accordingly, I'm working in the organization by holding such a position. Okay. The organization where I am employed is circulating the interview schedule, not the questionnaire. Circulating the interview schedule to assess the skill set of the employee and the employee's commitment towards the job and the interest in the job, because all of them will assist the employer in getting to know the behavior of the employee, and in the initial stage itself he will take necessary action towards what the employee likes and what the employee dislike, and the organization also will do something in favor of the employees rather than acting against the interest of the employee. Okay, so this is the purpose of putting in place the interview schedule. Okay. The next, due to the paucity of the time, I'll now let us discuss the uses of the interview schedule. Here, I told you the place where we should use the questionnaire and the place where we should use the interview schedule. Okay. Here, interview schedule cannot be used. It is not mostly used in the field of research. Interview schedule is not mostly in the field of research. It is somewhere used in research. It is somewhere used, that too only at the permitted places. Interview schedule is used only at the permitted places, but the questionnaire can be mostly used by the researcher at almost all the places. Okay. Here it is self-reporting, which provide considerable flexibility to the interviewer. See this here, I am going to assess my ability. I am going to assess my skill. I am going to assess my what to say. I am going to assess my ability. I know where I am now. Therefore, I will give responses based on the best of my ability. Therefore, I will not give any contradictory reply to the questions. Okay. The next, questions can be clarified. Is that we can clarify the questions. If necessary, the interview can be given an opportunity to qualify or modify his answer, and the interviewer can carefully observe the individual during the session, noting down the feeling attached to his answer, the topic or cases where he seems to be evasive, and areas on which he is most vocal. The next, if the interviewer is experienced and trained, he can go beyond the external purpose of the interview, and he can understand his inner feelings, wishes, desires, likes, and dislikes. See this, as I told you before, the interview schedule is effectively handled by the interviewer, because based upon his past experience and the training, he will collect the information within the ambit of the research and beyond the ambit of the research. Okay. It is not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can elicit the responses going by the interview schedule. Sometimes you can gather the information even beyond the coverage of the interview schedule. That is also there. While interviewing, the behavior of the subject can be observed, and information with regard to his emotional complex can be observed, which will be greatly helpful for individual guidance. See this, this is very useful for guiding the people. It is very useful for guiding the people. Okay, so this will avoid the ambiguity in the minds of the readers. Then it is a potent and indispensable tool for getting data that no other research tool can do. See this, even questionnaire also will focus only on specific information, but interview schedule will cover even the uncovered information. What is that? The interview schedule will cover even the uncovered information, but the questionnaire is very fixed. It will have the fixed responses, fixed number of responses. Okay, it can be adaptable, capable of being used with all types of individuals. Okay, the next limitations are, even though there are many benefits out of the interview schedule, there are certain limitations witnessed in the interview schedule. Now let us discuss some of them. Okay, see, first one, it is a time consuming process in interview. Unlike the questionnaire, in interview schedule, it takes a lot of time than usual. Sometimes time limit is not fixed or predefined. Uh, People are going to provide responses to all the questions. Here, they are not restricted whether they have to select any one of the responses from the given number of options. They can give even their own opinion also. That's why it takes a lot of time than usual. Then information obtained is not standardized from one person to another, because we are measuring the opinion, we are assessing the attitude, we are assessing the behavior. Therefore, my behavior is not as same as with that of others. They are different from one another. Okay, it suffers from bias of the interviewer. It suffers from bias of the interviewer. See this, here bias is not there. It really it is biased. It biased because sometimes the information, all the responses are not predefined. Some responses are provided by the researcher. Here, something can be justified and something cannot be justified. Okay, here you can understand the responses given by the responses given by the people can be understood by the researcher, but at the same time, some information might have been given by the people, which may cause little confusion in the minds of the researcher. It is difficult to be understood. Okay, the next. Sometimes interviewers' own masses influence the questions that are asked. See this, here we are placing the questions that doesn't matter. This causes irritations in the minds of the people. Okay. Now we will see the differences between the questionnaire and interview schedule. See, the questionnaire is one of the methods used for data collection. The questionnaire will have many questions, with each question having multiple choices. See this, here it is predefined, prefixed, predetermined. Therefore, before going to collect the data, we have to get the question structured. We have to get the questions structured. But in interview schedule, the options are not structured. It may contain any number of options. Sometimes predetermined options are given. Sometimes the options that are given by the respondent that are not predefined. The next is questionnaire method of data collection is preferred when respondent are willing to cooperate. In addition to deploy this method, the respondent need to be literate. Here we have to compulsorily understand the questions. Okay, because questionnaire is sent by any people, questionnaire is sent by the researcher, but to read the question and understand the question, we have to be literate. If we are illiterate, definitely it is very difficult to understand the question. In the same way, no one will be there to facilitate us in understanding the question. In schedule method of data collection, it can be literacy is not a matter. It can be used when the respondent are literate and can be used when the respondent are illiterate. See this here. I am a researcher. I am collecting the data. I am assisting the people to fill up the responses. Okay, I explain about the questions to the researcher, to the participants. After the participants fully understand the questions, they will be able to answer the questions. Here the coverage of the answer is fuller as compared to the questionnaire. In questionnaire, we cannot expect all the questions to have been filled up by the respondents. Okay, some questions might have been left unfilled up. Therefore, in such a case, the people will find it difficult to process the data analysis. See this next one. The type of technique used in the questionnaire method is quantitative. See this here. Quantitative method is mostly used in the questionnaire. Do you know this quantitative type of data questionnaire? See here, in quantitative method of data collection, after we collect the data, we put them for the data analysis. After we collect the responses, we put them for the data analysis. But in qualitative research, we don't process them for the data analysis. Actually, we present the data even without the dependence of the data analysis. In the questionnaire method, the grouping is made on the basis of different categories like location, age, gender. Say, for example, in age, we categorize different groups. Here, between 20 years and 30 years, between 31 years and 40 years, between 41 years and 50 years, and 51 years and above. So they are all, the age is accompanied by 4 groups. The same way, gender is also accompanied by 3 groups: male, female, and then transgender. Likewise, in questionnaire, we can split the responses based upon various groups. But in interview schedule, the group, it doesn't mean that it is compulsory to have the group in all the interview schedule. There is not any compulsion whether all the questions will have the group. It may contain or it may not contain. Then informants receive questionnaire through mails, post, and then answer will be given as per the instructions given in the cover letter. See this here, as I told you before, we can send the questionnaire in any format according to the whims and fancies of the researcher. Okay, you can send the question either by mail or WhatsApp or Facebook or in physical mode also. So here in interview schedule, we have to appoint an enumerator. Thereby, we have to gather the information from the researcher. Then the coverage of the questionnaire method is extensive, as the questionnaire can be sent to respondents who are not easily accessible. See here, if the people is available at the remote places, questionnaire method is very effective because we can send the question in any mode. Okay, but at the same time, in interview schedule, we collect the information in person. We collect the information through physical mode. Therefore, it is very difficult to collect the information by going to remote places. Okay. Then in questionnaire, responses are filled by the respondents. In schedule method, responses are filled by the enumerator themselves. See here, respondents fill up the questions on their own. But in case of the interview schedule, responses are not filled up the target audience. On behalf of them, the responses are filled up by the data collector, enumerators. In the questionnaire method, there is no scope for bias of answering getting influenced by the interview thoughts process, as the answer are filled up by the respondent themselves. In the scheduled method of data collection, there is a scope for or the answer getting influenced by the enumerator, as the answer to the question are filled up by the enumerator, although the answer are given by the respondent. See this here. We don't have to get influenced by the people, those who are in a position of collecting the data from us. So it is left to our discretion whether or not to provide the data for the questions. But in interview schedule, you must compulsorily provide certain responses. It is getting influenced by the second person. The enumerator. Enumerator will give some opinion of enumerator will be given even without consulting with the respondent. At last, the response rate of the questionnaire method is lower compared to the schedule method. See this here. Some people will send the questionnaire immediately. Here you have to send the reminder to the respondent again and again. Suppose for the first time you send the questionnaire to the respondent via mail, the mail would not have been opened by the respondent. So it takes longer time than normal, and you may have to wait for the questionnaire to have been sent back by the target audience. Some people will not send back the questionnaire after filling them up. That is also there. So here response rate is very poor in case of the questionnaire. But in case of interview schedule, you can collect the responses on the spur of the moment. What is that? You can collect the responses on the spur of the moment. You can immediately collect the responses in no time. Then in questionnaire method, the identity of the respondent is not known. You cannot find out the identity of the people. What is that? You cannot find out the identity of the people. Here, you don't know whether the responses are filled by so and so person. So that is there. But in schedule method, you can easily ascertain the identity of the person. Okay. At last, the questionnaire quality determines the success of the questionnaire method of data collection. The success of schedule method of data collection is dependent on the efficiency, integrity, and honesty of the schedule method of data collection. See this here. There are things to be discussed in questionnaire and interview schedule. Here, the questionnaire quality determines the success of the questionnaire method of data collection. See, you have to intensively collect the data from the people, first number of respondent to the last number of respondent, but you have to take efforts. Again and again, you have to send back the reminder to the person, those who have not sent back the questionnaire after filling them up. And you have to wait until they send back the responses via the mail. But in case of the interview schedule, you can gather the information in no time. That is there. They are all the differences between questionnaire and interview schedule. Okay, madam. I have come to an end of my presentation. Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity
Thank
for
you, sir.
being a resource person of this 1 week professional development program on research, effective and quality research writing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Participants, do you have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask questions. Okay, as we come to the close of this insightful session,
No,
I take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ansari for delivering such an enriching and comprehensive talk on questionnaire framing. And Dr. Ansari, sir, your expertise and depth of knowledge have provided us with valuable insights of questionnaire framing. Your
Thank you, madam.
ability to elucidate complex concepts with clarity and your practical examples have significantly enhanced our understanding and equipped with us with the tools to approach our research with greater rigor and confidence. Once again, thank you, sir, for your
Thank you, madam.
invaluable input and for being with us today.
Thank you. Very kind of you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you.